Today, on Be Something Wonderful, how to drop it and persist in your wish fulfilled. I am your host, Tom Kieran, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. I had a few powerful sessions yesterday, and I want to talk about one that this idea in the teachings of Neville Goddard came up when I had first talked to her. I think it was 3 or 4 months ago when we had our first meeting. And at that time, she had a lot of wishes. She had a lot of desires. She had desires in terms of finances, in terms of love in her life, in terms of her career and more money and all of that. And she said that she had been imagining her life perfect and her wish fulfilled and all of that. And she just said that there hadn't been any movement. This is at the time. And then as we were talking, we really discovered that she was just hanging on to the desires, that she felt like she was in wish fulfilled, but she was really still hanging on to the wanting of it, to the craving of it, to the needing of something to change. She was looking outward as opposed to resting in the fulfillment inward. And so I really wanted to talk about this because as we made that adjustment and the teachings of Neville Goddard came up, and this idea that Neville says, when the feeling's yours, drop it. And she was a little bit confused. Do I drop my wish fulfilled, or what am I dropping there? And again, what Neville's talking about, you're not dropping the feeling of wish fulfilled. You're dropping the desiring. You're dropping the wanting. You're dropping the thought of the desire, because now you're thinking from fulfillment. Do you hear this? That's what Neville's getting. When we made that adjustment in our meeting yesterday, she said everything has changed. Everything's moving. A lot of the things that we had talked about, she has already manifested. She said some things have not, but she said it really doesn't matter because I'm just feeling fulfilled within. I'm not keeping score anymore. I'm not feeling this constant gnaw and knot in my stomach that things haven't happened yet, or that the other shoe's going to drop. So I really want to cover this today and more. This is what Genevieve Davis from the Magic Books says. You receive everything you want once you stop actively wanting it. Once you stop actively wanting it, there's a different kind of wanting once you're in fulfillment. Meaning you still want it to manifest in 3D reality, but it's a different kind of wanting. It's like when I talked about an example of if you really wanted to go see your favorite band, a concert. They were live coming to your city, but all the tickets were sold out and they were thousands and thousands of dollars. You couldn't get a ticket, but you really wanted to go to that concert. It's about a month away. But then as the month went on, someone couldn't go. They canceled. The tickets fell on your lap. Now the concert's not until 2 weeks, and you still want to go to the concert. But you no longer have that wanting that you did, that craving to have it, to need it. It's already yours. It's already fulfilled. It's done. It's manifested within. And now you're just going to walk and go to the concert. It's the same idea, right? No analogy is perfect, but this is the same idea. It's about letting go of the wanting, right? You cannot persist in wanting what you already have. This is Neville Goddard. Persisting is receiving. It's the receiving state that all the spiritual teachers talk about, right? Persisting is not persisting in the wanting of it and keeping the thought of your desire in a mental grasp, right? A grip. It's persisting in the fulfillment, persisting in the state of feeling it's done, that it's yours. That's what we're talking about. When the feeling is yours, in other words, when it feels real, drop it. Drop the desiring. Drop the desire. Drop thinking about it. You don't have to keep thinking about it anymore. It's already yours. It's fulfilled, right? Drop the wanting of it. Drop the thinking of it. Drop the thoughts of your desire. Persist in the feeling and assumption that it's yours and it's done. Hold on to the fulfillment. Drop everything else. Do you hear this? Hold on to the feeling of fulfillment. Drop everything else. That's big. So it's a difference, guys, between choosing to have it, choosing to be it, and wanting to have it or wanting to be it. Do you see it? When you choose to have your desire, right? When you choose it, you're in the now. When you're wanting something, it's in the future. You don't have it, right? And when you choose to have it, when you choose to be it, you're automatically in fulfillment. You imagine your wish fulfilled. You're choosing when you're imagining. It's done. You're receiving it. There's no possibility of non-fulfillment. Under wanting to have it, non-fulfillment is a possibility, or you think it is, because you're wanting it. You don't think you have it. Here, under choosing, you're thinking from fulfillment, thinking from the end. Wanting to have it, you're thinking of it. You're keeping your desire in a tight mental grip and a tight hold. Under choosing, when you choose to have it, when you choose your desires, it's a light touch. It's a confident expectation that that you've done the inner work, that it's manifested within, that it's manifested in that dimensionally larger reality, that it will manifest in 3D. But when you're wanting to have it, when you're wanting to be it, you have resistance. You're holding on to it in a mental grip. And this is big. When you're choosing it, when you're choosing to be it or have it, you're creating a reality of fulfillment immediately when you choose. Do you hear the power in this? You're not hanging on anymore. You're choosing to have it. You're creating a reality of your wish already fulfilled. But when you're wanting it and needing it, you are creating a reality or a state of being of always wanting it and never having it or never being it. You're just creating a reality of wanting and not having. That's big. So remember from the teachings of Genevieve Davis, who wrote the magic books, you are a reality generator. Your entire life experience is what you're thinking, feeling, believing, assuming right now in every moment. Your entire life experience is that story that you're telling yourself with your thinkings, with your assumptions, with your belief, with your thinking, with your feeling, what you're believing right now in every moment. That's your story. So that's what you create. You are a reality generator. So when you're asking for your wish fulfilled, I've gone over these 3 steps. Here's your 3 steps to manifesting what you want. You ask, you align, and you allow. But here's where we get stuck. We get stuck here in the asking, right? And then we start creating realities based on our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs of always asking and never getting, always wanting and never receiving. Do you hear this? You create an immediate reality of what you want and what you don't want. Immediately, when you ask, when you set an intention of something that you desire, you create the unwanted reality at the same time. All right? So that's why you don't want to get stuck in asking, because you get stuck in looking at the unwanted reality. You know what you want, but you're looking at what you don't want. Right? What you want, what you don't want gets immediately created. Both realities exist, right? That's why you want to move to alignment, aligning with what you want, imagining your wish already fulfilled. You feel it real. You create the mental equivalent of your desire. You go within, right? You could do a state akin to sleep. You could do an alpha state, whatever it is. You imagine your wish already done. You imagine a simple scene that implies that it's done, it's fulfilled. That's aligning with your desire. You assume it's done. You affirm it's done. That's what we're talking about. Then the 3rd state is allowing. And this is what we almost never do, right? Because we keep that desire. We stay in that wanting state. We keep going back to asking. We align and then we go back to asking. Instead, move to allowing. Let go of the thinking of your desire. Persist in the feeling of fulfillment. Right? Hold on to fulfillment. Let go of the desiring. Let go of the thinking of it. Right? See, every 3D outcome and event is on the path of least resistance. That's a big part of it. Right? Whatever shows up in 3D, even if it looks contrary to it, accept it as part of the outcome, as part of the unfolding. Judge nothing. Instead, look at everything as part of judge it righteously as part of your fulfillment. As everything's working out for you. That's what we're talking about. Ask, align, and allow. If you get stuck here, you get stuck in wanting. If you align and then go back to asking, you're back in wanting again. Right? You've got to move to allowing. So, allowing then is the receiving state. I think one of you asked on a question on the channel just a few days ago. The receiving state or the allowing state is being unattached to all outcomes. You're not judging any outcome, right? You're not attached to it because you know it's already yours, right? You're not wanting anymore. You're not in that state of wanting and craving. You don't have that broader perspective to judge any outcome that happens in 3D reality. So as things happen and you don't see what you would consider your manifestation, or you see the opposite of it, don't judge it. You don't know where that event's leading to. You don't know why that person's there. You don't know where on the path of least resistance you are, right? You have no way of knowing. You don't have the broader view. Trust in that higher wisdom. Trust in your inner authority, right? The present moment is the source of that higher wisdom, not the past, right? A lot of times we just get stuck on what's happened. Well, I never got it before, and this is what happened before. You get stuck in the past, right? Instead, move within. Instead, be in the present moment. And be in this state of not minding what happens. Why? When you don't mind what happens, when you don't get attached to any outcome, that means you get everything you want. That's the allowing state. That's the power of the allowing state. Not minding what happens is equal to getting everything you want, is equal to the allowing or receiving state, right? It's letting that go. I had a session over the last few days with a client that was really felt that she had no resistance to it. She felt like she was in fulfillment. But as we talked about it, I said, well, let me ask you this. What about, consider this. I want you to close your eyes and consider that it might never happen. That you don't mind what happens. Get into this mode where accept the worst case scenario, that it might not happen. She closed her eyes and then she was very emotional. She had tears. She never thought she was holding on to that and wanting it that much. She wasn't consciously aware how tight she was holding on to that desire, right? But as soon as she released the resistance and considered the idea of the worst case scenario, consider the idea of being unattached to the outcome, consider the idea of not minding what happens, it was totally released. She followed up with I think a day or so later, said it's amazing that she feels so much better, right? And that's the whole idea. That's the allowing state. That's the receiving state. That's what we're talking about. So all fear and negative emotion and conditions, right? All outside people, events, and conditions from wanting things to be different than they are. All fear and negative emotion is from wanting things to be different than they are, or as you perceive them. From wanting outside people, events, and conditions to be different than you want them. That's what all fear is. Fear is just wanting. Either wanting something that you don't have, or not wanting something that is currently happening. It's some form of wanting. All negative emotion is some form of wanting things to be different than they are. Hear this. All negative emotion is a form of wanting. But this is big. Nothing on the outside world or in the inside or in the outside world has the power to make you feel anything. Hear this. So we want things to be different, but that's not where feelings come from. Trying to want the outside world to be different makes no sense when you know the feelings come from within. When you're only ever feeling what you're thinking about the people, events, and conditions, and it's not about the people, events, and conditions themselves. That's where your freedom is. Imagine this. All of our negative emotion comes from wanting these people, events, and conditions to be different than they are. Yet, those people, events, conditions have no power to make you feel anything. It's just your thoughts about them that you're feeling. Do you hear? That's so much powerful. And remember, the thoughts aren't real. You get to decide. The thoughts are only hurt when you believe them. You get to decide the ones you're going to believe. That's powerful, right? All feelings come from within. They come from the story you're telling yourself, right? Never from outside people, events, and circumstances themselves. It's always that story. It's all the thoughts that you're creating. And yet those thoughts become a story of who you are and your relationship to the world, right? With this knowing, here's the big thing. With this knowing, nothing can go wrong. Failure is impossible. You're free to try anything. If you don't care what other people think, if you don't care about any outcome, if you don't mind what happens, if you don't put all the bets on one bet that you want these events, people, and circumstances to respond to you in a certain way, or they have to be a certain way. If you don't need the world to be a certain way, you're free to do anything you want. You become invincible, right? You no longer have any limitations to be, do, or have whatever you want, because you don't want things to be different. Instead, you just create what you want. Do you see the power in that? That's how to drop it and persist in your wish fulfilled. I am your host, Tom Caron, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, like and share our videos. That's how we get our message out. You can follow us on Facebook at Be Something Wonderful. We have a group called the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors. That's at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful. That's an open group. All of you are welcome to join that to exchange ideas with other conscious creators. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Caron, or visit our website anytime at tomcaron.com or besomethingwonderful.com. Until next time, creators, with great love, with great light and infinite gratitude, see you soon.